one of my superpowers that I fine-tuned with the initial interviews and now have done overall over 1,000 times is helping a company or an individual articulate in less than 10 words where they are executing their purpose. And then everything else stems from there.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Annuity Fundamentals. I am your host, Kylie Malat, with our co-host, the Mr. One and Only Ryan Anderson. And today we have a very special guest, and I say that with some gravity to it. We haven't had a guest like him on the podcast before, so I'm very much looking forward to interviewing him and having us talk to us for the next 25-30 minutes. So Mitchell Levy is with us. He's a global strategies expert, and he's out of Silicon Valley, California. So we're really excited to have him on the podcast with us and get the opportunity to really pick his brain. He thinks a lot differently than we do, and he's going to blow our minds. He's done 2 TED Talks, and so I'm very looking forward to this conversation. So thank you so much, Mitchell, for joining us today.
It's great to be here. You really put the bar pretty high for me to set. So,
well, let's see if I can actually even raise it more. Now, aren't you also the author of 24, that's 24 best-selling books? You've written in several more than that, but we're just going to keep it to the best-selling books here. You've got decades of experience. You're also a global credibility expert and executive coach. And the thing that really struck me the most is that you sat down and interviewed over 500 thought leaders on credibility and clarity. And you can't have that much interaction with really high-performing individuals without walking away from something. And I really want to jump into this and hear about that. 500 interviews. What'd you walk away with? What changed your life, and what gave you the stuff to change other people's lives?
You know, I knew how I was going to answer that question until you actually gave that last statement. So now I'm going to give you 2 answers, not just one.
Okay.
The one thing that happened was I used to be one of those people that I would think the meeting started when I got there. Mm-hmm. Right? So sometimes it might be on time. Sometimes it might be a couple of minutes late because, unfortunately, I was under the impression that I was important enough that the meeting started when I got there. One of the most important things I learned, there are 10 values of credibility. I did a TEDx. We could put that in the notes. It's called "We're Losing Our Humanity," and I'm tired of watching it happen. So there are 10 values of credibility, and the one that is one of the most relevant is respect. And in terms of a podcast like this or a meeting you have with somebody else, it means coming early, coming prepared, coming with your heart. And I am always now early, right? Because to me, early means on time. So in terms of how did it affect me? Amazing amounts. Now, the answer I was going to initially give, I want to share now, and that is the number one lesson I learned is one that I still put on the back burner for about 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. So it was a little over a year ago that I realized that the number one lesson I learned from interviewing 500 thought leaders is the ability to have clarity. We've been taught that the more people we serve, the bigger the audience, the bigger the fish net, the more money we'll make. And it turns out the opposite is true. The more narrow we can be, the more focused we can be, the more value we can give to the audience we serve. And we can do that by focusing on a very specific audience, the better we'll be. And so one of my superpowers that I fine-tuned with the initial interviews and now have done overall over 1,000 times is helping a company or an individual articulate in less than 10 words where they are executing their purpose. And then everything else stems from there.
Things that stood out to me, I wrote a couple things down, but respect, always being early. So let's talk about that for a second. What does early mean? Is that 5 minutes early, 2 minutes early, 10 minutes early? What does that look like?
Well, I think it depends. So it's a great question. It's if you see my TED Talk, you're gonna make an assumption that it's 10 minutes early or 15 minutes early. But I'm gonna say that represents coming early to a podcast. right? So if you're going to come early to our podcast, you should be there. To me, around 10 minutes is on time. Today, I think I got here at 5 to 6 minutes before the start time. I felt late. Okay. If you're coming to an online meeting, 1 to 2 minutes early is early enough. If you're going to a physical meeting, getting into the downtown lobby 15 minutes early is probably on time, right? You don't have to say you're there. You just have to make sure you're around. So I think there really isn't a good excuse. Oh, sorry, I couldn't make the meeting. I got stuck in traffic, right? I mean, I know those things happen,
Hmm.
but it's if you know let's say you're going to a business meeting and you got to commute across town, you have to assume that something's going to happen that's going to slow things up. Now, life gets in the way, right? Life always gets in the way, and family life comes first. I'm going to say whether it's a family member, a friend, or something happens, there's always excuses why things don't happen. But I think if you're going to be showing respect, being able to make sure that you're showing that you care about the time of the person you're talking with, they're feeling it in their heart, right? You also have to, if you could probably feel this energy from me, I'm just being me, right? Ask me any question. Now, if it's not something I normally answer on air, I'm going to say, listen, sorry, that's kind of out of my expertise or out of my zone, but I'm going to answer any question I have in the best I can answer at this stage, because it really is coming early. It really is, in this case, understanding who your audience is and who you serve, and sharing with you the best I can. So if I'm lucky, I've done enough of a job to touch you so that you can feel that I have the intent and commitment to do the right thing, and you are better off tomorrow than you were before you heard me speak today.
I asked that question because I feel like respect is at the pillar at the top, right? If you're having a relationship of any sort, respect needs to be at the top of it. And respecting our clients' time or our agents' time or our peers' time, right? It doesn't matter whose time, but that, for me, is where it starts. So respecting of being on an appointment on time or communicating through that process, but it also comes with understanding, right?
Hmm.
So if there's respect, then there's understanding, and then those people feel heard. And that's what we're really after. This is a relationship business. Everything really is a relationship business unless you're at Walmart and it's just right next to the aisle and they're checking it out, right? So that's not so much relationship. But what we do at Annuity Fundamentals is we're helping agents get into more homes and to have different conversations to get into the annuity space. What you've been doing is really trying to change people's mindset and say, hey, at the core of it, if you want to be successful, it starts with respect and understanding. So I really appreciate you starting off there.
I love that. Thank
You
you.
know, I got a question for you here. I'd like I'd like some more clarity, and no pun intended here. So you went through here, and as far as that, I'm an independent agent sitting at home at my kitchen table, and I am the marketing department, I'm the sales department, I'm the compliance department, I'm everything. And you said three things out there: that you help folks establish clarity, that you execute your purpose, and in 10 words or less you can help them identify that. How does that help me as an agent know that? How does, when I say execute my purpose, what does that mean exactly? When I say
Oh,
in 10 words or less, I can do, does that what I print on the back of my business card? Is that t-shirts I get made and everything out there? It's like, I am the man, dot, 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 dot. Okay, that's my 10 words. I mean, help me out
that's a
here.
great. That's a great, Ryan. Thank you for that question. You know, the thing that's interesting is that most people, the one of the things I mentioned in the green room, and I'll share it here. It's something I learned when I was young, but didn't actually start deploying until about 6 weeks ago. What I learned was you sell them what they want, you deliver what they need. So what do people really need? They need clarity and credibility, but that's not necessarily what they want. So in this particular case, Ryan, what do they want? Um, they actually want a good business. They want to be able to have people refer them on a consistent basis. They want customers to be able to be happy and to put good testimonials out there because they've been successful at what they're doing. And so the concept of of the clarity statement, and I actually call it a CPOP, a customer point of possibilities. The concept of having a clarity statement is simply the fact that it is your compass. It's that compass that allows you to make decisions. And if you make decisions that are in alignment with your compass and you demonstrate behavior that's in alignment with those decisions, now what you're doing is you're showing up with credibility. You're showing up consistently. You're showing up with authenticity and internal and external integrity that are in alignment, right? So the most important thing in order to be able to show up when you're in person that way is to have clarity and then show up properly. That what comes next is how do you show up online? And so many people don't take that concept, that CPOP, and ensure, because online they show up in so many different ways. So you want to show up consistently online as you do in person, right? Now, when you do that, you have established confidence, not just for yourself, but for those people who want to recommend you. And so in terms of what I do, Ryan, is I've got this thing called a referral webinar. So to me, that's the third thing, the third step. There are 4 steps I focus on. What is your CPOP? Who are you? How do you show up on and offline consistently? Number 2. Number 3, how do you show up in such a way where people want to see you? I call it your client magnet, your complimentary gift, whether it's actually doesn't have to be complimentary, your inexpensive gift that allows people to want to see you. Now, in many cases in your world, it's okay, they're going to accept the calendar appointment. When they accept the calendar appointment or the physical appointment, you have to show such amazing respect, and you have to show that you hear. Part of being respectful is to listen, right? And then the last thing is building a community who care about you. So in the referral webinar that I do is we talk about what are the mistakes people make. And so in terms of what I'm quote unquote selling, I'm selling something that's free. Come into the room, learn how to get good referrals, how to do a good business. And then when you like this level of knowledge, I might offer you an opportunity to do more, right? And my more is using LinkedIn more effectively, right? But there are many different ways to do it. But it comes down to, you asked me, what is clarity and how does it work? Clarity means that you set up a compass for yourself. If that compass allows you to sign up, to show up on and offline consistently, you've now turned that compass into a magnet. And that's how you get referrals, is you now have a magnet that people in less than 10 words, they can reiterate who you are. And they're going to do it because they know that when you talk to them, they're going to get some kudos from the person that were recommended.
Okay, so as we're talking here, as you first started talking, what came to mind was the book Good to Great. Are you familiar with that one? It's a and as they go in there, they talk about something called the hedgehog principle, that guiding principle that kind of leads you through that. And as you were talking about the CPOP, that's what came to my mind was, okay, this is similar to a hedgehog principle from the book Good to Great. Now, mind you, I'm not trying to say you got it from there, but as you got into it, it's much more than that. It is that as far as that guiding principle that helps you make all of your decisions. But what was the acronym? What does it say one more time?
Oh, CPOP stands for Customer Point of Possibilities.
Customer point of possibilities. Okay, so that is a little bit different. Now, as we're going through here, and as you're going through that, having that consistent message, that each one of those leads to the next level of as far as the 4 things you identified. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, so as I'm going through here and I'm looking at this, and give me a practical example of this. So when you talk about this is my CPOP, and as far as I'm going through and building it into LinkedIn to my business and something like that, can you kind of give me an example of what that looks like in a real world situation?
So I'll do so. Yes, and feel free to ask for a different example, or feel free to give an example, and I'll tell you how it applies. Right. So the thing that's interesting is how many times, whether you're selling annuities or selling publishing books or selling anything, that you had a really good friend who went out and purchased it and didn't talk to you about it and didn't use you as a provider. Right?
Oh, all the time, irritatingly so.
Crazy. And
Family members, irritatingly so.
We're taught not to do business with family, but with annuities, that's a great example in case you could and should.
Yeah.
And what happens? It probably, we'll just say, not because they didn't like you or don't respect you. It's probably because they forgot that that's what you did,
Yeah.
right? So the thing is, if it's everywhere, so I look at a CPOP as this is the playground I play in, and I share how I where that playground is in everywhere I show up. So it'll show up on my website. It'll show up on my business card. It'll show up on my LinkedIn profile. It'll show up as part of my signature at bottom of my email. And so what happens is people are continually reminded, oh wait, this is the playground. That person plays it.
And that
Right. And
CPUP,
then
just to remind folks, that's the 10-letter, basically your statement of what you do, the clarity in 10 words or less. This is what I do. That's what we're talking about here.
and I'm going to say, do you mind? I'm not going to correct you. I'm just going to augment that.
Please.
It's not necessarily what you do, although that is what you do. What it represents is who your client base is and what is their either pain point or pleasure point. So it is in less than 10 words who you're serving and how you're serving them.
Oh.
I know. It's mind-blowing because of the level of simplicity. By the way, it's not easy, but it is very simple.
It's funny. I had lunch. I work from home, and this afternoon I left my office, went in the house, and I'm sitting on the couch. And my daughter got home from college last night, and her boyfriend was there, and he asked her what I do for a living, and I was there, and my wife's in the kitchen. She's like, "Dad, what do you do exactly?" And I stopped for a second, and I paused because I wanted to articulate it in a way that she would understand. Then my wife's like, ooh, let me take a stab at this one. And she went off, and she was about 70% right. And it took her a couple minutes to spit out what I do. But I could not imagine saying what we do in 10 words or less, because there are several things here. I could say this aspect maybe, but I love can you give us an example of one of these?
Sure. Well, what we can do, and I'm thinking about time, is we could try to create one live for you.
Oh, that'd be great.
Mine at the moment is 9 words, right? So mine is Inc. 5,000 CEOs leading the future with executive gravitas. So what's interesting about that now, how I normally would line it up is I would put the hook. The hook being, there's an audience that I serve really well. Then I would do a pause and I'd say Inc. 5,000 CEOs leading the future with executive gravitas. What I'm looking for is one of 3 people who are hearing that. They could be a referral partner, they could be a prospect, or they could be someone who just doesn't care. It doesn't mean they don't care about me. It just means they don't care about the playground I play in.
Okay.
But if they are a referral partner or a prospect, they're going to say, tell me more. Right? So another one of my clients I talked to today, business owners moving from stuck to passion.
Okay, now I really want to try to build one of these for us. I've talked too much. Kylie, go ahead and you do it. So it sounds like you're the one that's trying to get free consulting instead of me. So
No, I mean, with all of it, if you're listening, I mean, this is what people need help with, is their vision
absolutely.
and some clarity with it, right? I mean, I've been on meetings all the time and they're like, all right, I want you to write down your why. Or they want you to write down meaning. Or what do you do for a living, Ryan? I mean, your wife says 70%, right? You said she knew 70% of what you do. My son, as long as he knows that I'm your boss, that he thinks that I'm great. Right? So, yes, does it matter to an 8-year-old? No, he doesn't care. But like when we're outward facing and someone on the street or in a webinar or coming across our LinkedIn page, do we have a real clear and message of who we are and what we do and how we can serve? I think that can be a huge downfall, and that's probably why Mitchell comes in with fire and he's like, I know the answer. I can help you. And 10 words or under, if you had just told me to do that on my own, it would be really intimidating. Okay, well, these 10 words, they're vital. If I only have 10 words to show people what I'm about, then I want them to have meaning. I want them to have a clear expectation, maybe, of I guess that when I say meaning of like what I'm about, so they understand me. And I think that's where majority of agents really do fall short, is having true meaning or passion behind what they're saying.
Kylie, what's interesting about what you said is you wanted to have meaning about what you're about, and the and is what you're about in terms of showing respect and being of service to your client base. The one of the biggest mistakes, so I'll be really clear about this. I have now gifted the formula, this secret formula, to thousands of individuals. And I will tell you that because we're so chock full of Simon Sinek, why, and marketing cookie cutter stuff, we're so chock full of that 98%, even with the formula, will not actually be what the right playground is. And the short answer is, I'll give you the formula, it's the who and the what. If you think about it, who do you serve? 1, 2, or 3 words. And what is it that is their pain point or pleasure point?
Okay,
That's the secret formula, but that's the saying that without a marketing cookie cutter stuff in it is apparently not so easy.
All right, so let's try this for a second. So who? We serve Medicare and life agents. That's who we go through and do. People, if you've got an insurance license in either the health or the life space, that's who we serve. That's our target market if we're going to go through for marketing. All right? And the what, we try to help them, give them the tools to move from where they are into annuities and higher dollar items. The goal, and to quote what you said, is like, what do you say? Sell them what they want, deliver what they need. We're going to show them how to sell them annuity. Annuity's not the thing. We're giving them a lifestyle. That when I went from Medicare to annuities, I went from $100,000 a year to $300,000 a year in a 12-month period of time. That changed my life. That was a significant. Oh, wow, I don't need to balance my checkbook anymore. Oh, wow, I don't need to check to see if I've got the money to take a weekend away with the wife. There was a lifestyle that came almost overnight, I mean, in less than a year, by doing this. And I want other people to have that same, this is cool experience. Is that what we're talking about here? Is that kind of what you're...
So yeah, if we'll spend just 5 minutes. We'll give you guys a CPOP when we're done. And then you'll go, oh my God, we need to use your service. The hard part, and this is what you potentially do, when somebody has a CPOP, it represents their frequency. It represents who they are and how they show up in the world. Because as a servant leader, one of the credits or the tenets of being credible, it's how they're serving their audience. Mm-hmm. The hard part is that the world doesn't want you to stay in that level of alignment. So 90% of people who are in aligned, once they get their CPOP, will lose it somewhere between 2 hours and 2 weeks. So what a firm like you guys do, what your institute, what your university does, is you can help people with CPOPing once you help them understand their CPOP. Okay, so the first thing is Medicare and life agents is the revenue split from there about even, or is one 80%, the other 20%?
As far as from us, we focus more with Medicare agents by far. We have more Medicare agents that come work with us. That's by far that's our sweet spot. Life agents we have them, but it's by far more Medicare. For whatever reason, the sales process gravitates towards us.
I love it. Okay. And what's their pain point today? What is it? We're going to ask 2 questions: pain point, pleasure point, and then I'll give you guys a CPOP.
What are your thoughts, Kai?
I would say their pain is they're stuck. So that's why they're coming to our class, to get unstuck and to sell annuities.
Yeah, that they were sold a thought process. If I sell a Medicare, I'm going to make $100,000 a year in my first year, second year, and then it's just going to build from there. And I've got a great lifestyle that comes with it. And a few agents do. The vast majority don't. They get to a level and they plateau and they never progress past it, and they want more. And we show them how to get more with their existing systems. And the pleasure would be what? That's the pain.
What's a good pleasure?
I would say pleasure is they really do enjoy serving other people and helping them. We had a previous podcast, and he said if you help a lot of people, you make a lot of money.
Yeah. Independence also as one. I think a lot of the people that do this kind of work want to work from their garage. They want to work from the house. They want to have the lifestyle that comes and goes with it. For me, that's a big one, is the freedom to come and go as I please. Help people. There's a huge income potential with it. That's one. What other things are there? Those are the big ones.
I have two, which I'll share. We could spend a whole lot more time, and I could dive deeper. What I'll do is I'll put it in chat because I'm a visual person, but I'll read them both out loud. I would say 80% of the time, people pick a pain point, CPOP, versus a pleasure point. I'm going to read both, and I'm going to actually suggest that you go with the pain point. And the one that really stuck to me as I'm listening to you guys speak, Medicare agents. By the way, I didn't include life. If 80% of the revenue comes from Medicare, let's just focus there. Because, by the way, a great tell me more is, what about me? I'm a life agent. Right? Great. Now you're in the upper hand. You're like, yeah, of course. We'd love to have you. So Medicare agents who've reached a plateau. That one's my favorite. The other one is the pleasure point, Medicare agents making the money they deserve.
I like both of those.
I know.
I like the first one better.
It's really hard, but I like the first one better as well.
I do too.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I go through, so what do you do with it? I work with Medicare agents who've reached a plateau.
So wait, I'm interrupting on purpose. Remember, the CPOP is not about you. As soon as you say, I help, I serve, I work, now it's about you, and there's some people who don't want to be sold to.
Oh, okay.
Right? So what you want to do is you want to set up the hook. When somebody says, Ryan, what do you do? There's an audience I found myself loving to work with. Whatever you do. Or there's an audience I'm very successful with. Or there's a set of individuals that I just can't help, and they get so much value. Whatever you want to say. And then you do a pause. And you do Medicare agents who've reached a plateau. And then you drop the mic. Because if they are either a referral partner or a prospect, they're going to say, what do you mean? What's a plateau? Well, it doesn't matter what they say, right? If they're asking you to tell them more, now what have you done? You're now speaking from a container of clarity. And that container of clarity as you speak gives you incremental amounts of credibility.
Are we in a psychology class? Because that was some knowledge just dropped right there. How to simply just say things in a different way, and it creates dialogue. That's what that's what that does. Tell me more. That opens it up. Where before, you can simply say, how you said it before, Ryan, and it stops there.
Yeah.
So just a little tweak in the language can start the dialogue. I like that.
So this is not this is not your elevator speech. This is not the what is your hedgehog principle. This is not your company's what is that? Your guiding statement or your
slogan.
Oh, it could easily. You could take this and so easily turn this into a tagline.
Yeah.
A company tagline could be, we help Medicare agents who've reached a plateau. That's a tagline.
Yeah.
Not the CPOP.
Okay, it is, and there's a subtle difference, but that difference is massive in the application of this.
I would say one thing. We've been taught so many things. You mentioned the why. It's important to know the why, but that doesn't come first, right? What comes first is who and what. If you're a credible human, who do you serve, and what is their pain point or pleasure point that they can resonate with? And I'm going to ask anyone who's listening right now, if you've memorized an elevator pitch, please throw it out. Because just let me ask you this question, and this is to you guys, open-ended question. When you're speaking an elevator pitch that you've memorized, does it come from the head or does it come from the heart?
Nice.
It comes from your head. How can you show that you respect somebody if you're speaking a memorized thing from your head?
Yeah.
Give them that 1 or 2, 3 second C-pop. Have them ask you, tell me more. And when you do then tell them more, make it personalized, make it customized to them, and speak from your heart.
I think everything you said is blanketed and can give you confidence. I mean, if you really understand C-pop and you have that in your head, I mean, you're right. You have the script in your head and then you have the message in your heart. And I think all too often, especially if we're talking over the phone, the head talks more than the heart. But when you're face to face, it's a lot easier to break that barrier down and be more authentic. And that's where the selling comes in. There's no selling in annuities. It's all education, and it's all education based. Does this fit or does this not fit in your retirement plan? And that's what Ryan and that's what our message is about, is stop letting fear control you. Get out of your head, have this new language that you implement in these appointments, and this will take you from just Medicare and it will take you into the annuity conversation. So I think all of this, that has to come from your heart. That can't come from your head. Your head, you do have to have knowledge, right? You have to know what you're talking about, but the message has to come clear through an avenue that people feel respected and understood. And so it all boils down to that. I love that message.
So, Mitchell, quick question for you. We got to wrap this up here. We're about our time. Where can we reach you? You said that you've got a LinkedIn campaign where we can kind of go through and you can assist us with this, tell us how our listeners want to reach out and find you. How can they do that?
Oh, the best way is my website.
Okay.
So it's mitchellevy.com, mitchellevy.com. And there you could see the programs I'm working on and things I'm doing. Connect to me on whatever is social. If you wanted to book time on my calendar, you get access to that. There are many things that I do in the world. And at the end of the day, if I can support, let's say, the two of you that are supporting hundreds and thousands of others, that's a great way for me to extend my reach and allow my legacy to continue. By the way, I'll leave you this one word. Legacy is not the plaque on the wall. Legacy is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Wow.
Powerful. Well, Mitchell, we appreciate your time. We're going to have you on again. This has been a pleasure. Definitely got me thinking differently. So thank you so much. We will put your information in the comments below so people can look you up on LinkedIn. And I recommend that you do. If you're wanting to make a change in your business, it's going to start with your mindset. And that comes with some language and some verbiage that maybe you just have never heard of yet. And so you need to have different conversations to get there. So thank you so much, Mitchell. We appreciate having you. And thank you for your time. And we will see you next time at Annuity Fundamentals. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.